Welcome, GC Kids. Oh, it is so good to see you. And today is a super special day. Do you remember last week when we made those Easter gardens? I saw some of your gardens and they are so beautiful. Thank you for sharing them with me. Well, if you remember Charlie's garden, Charlie, this is his garden. Do you remember what he planted? He planted seeds in there, and look at that.
And when we found a butterfly.
We did find a butterfly, and we put the butterfly in there. Yeah. Pretty cool, huh? So, this is Easter, but just a few days ago, it was Good Friday. And just like Charlie buried these seeds in the dirt here, Jesus' friends buried him. He died and it was so sad. Hope died. And you know what? It's okay to be sad. But you know what? The story doesn't end there, does it? No. So these seeds needed to be buried in the dirt for this green, lively, gorgeous green grass to grow. Isn't that amazing? It reminds me of our memory verse. Charlie, do you want to hold up our memory verse for us? Hold it nice and still, 2 hands. Okay, the memory verse for today is, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it." Do you know what extinguish means? Extinguish means it can never, ever go away. The light wins. Life wins. So Jesus, when he lived, his job, his heart, he loved people. And he wanted to make sure that everyone knew how much God loved them and how we can live a life with God now. Such an important job. You know what? Let's take a closer look at the story of Easter together. So, if you need to, pause your video, go grab your Bibles, something cozy, and snuggle up close. Get ready to listen to this exciting story. So, if you have your Bibles, go to Matthew 28, verses 1 through 10. And if you have the Storybook Bible, it is on page 310, the part of our story. I'm going to give that to Edith. Okay, I'm going to read a different version of the story, and you can listen or look at your book and look at the pictures. Are you ready to get started? Okay, so just so you know, right before this, it was a really dark time. So dark. Jesus died, and his friends, their hope died. They were heartbroken. Let's see what happens next. Jesus hung dead upon the cross. One of his secret followers was a wealthy man named Joseph from the town of Arimathea. He made an agreement with Pilate that he would arrange for the body to be buried. As the sun sank low in the sky, a small group of women watched as Jesus' body was wrapped in linen cloth and taken to a tomb cut into the rock of a nearby olive grove. "What of the proper burial traditions?" they asked anxiously, for they wanted to do all they could for their friend and teacher. "They will have to wait," answered Joseph grimly. "Our Sabbath day of rest is beginning. Stand back and let us roll the stone door in place." They pushed the round stone along the groove in the rock that guided it firmly over the entrance to the cave. The Sabbath passed. Just as the next day's dawn was breaking, the women returned with spices to anoint the body in its proper fashion. "Who will roll away this door for us?" they asked anxiously. It was a very large stone. Oh, remember how the men struggled to push it into place? They looked ahead, peering through the shadows of the dawn light toward the rocks and a tree silhouetted against the paling sky. What has happened? Gasped the one named Mary. The door is open. Fear flooded through them, slowing their step. Well, let's go in, said Salome. Perhaps Joseph or his servants has come ahead of us to complete the burial. So they entered the tomb. The body has gone, whispered Mary in alarm. She looked around more closely, then shrieked with fright. A young man was sitting on the ledge to the right. He was wearing a white robe. Don't be alarmed, he said gently. I know you're looking for Jesus of Nazareth who was crucified. He is not here. He is risen from the dead. Now go and give this message to the disciples, including Peter. Jesus is going into Galilee ahead of you. There you will see him, just as he told you. The women fled. Can it possibly be true? Said Salome to her companion. Try to remember exactly what Jesus said, replied Mary. He did talk about dying, and no one wanted to believe him. Salome replied, This is what Peter told me. I learned it word for word. He said, the Son of Man must suffer much and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law. He will be put to death, but 3 days later, he will rise to life. It's impossible, though, isn't it? She said sadly. Mary Magdalene stood and cried. Beyond the olive trees, the sky turned to gold as the sun rose above the hills. She heard a bird sing, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Oh, if I look again in the tomb, she thought to herself, perhaps it'll all be different. Perhaps the body of Jesus will still be there. Then we'll at least be able to complete the burial and say our goodbyes. She stooped down by the entrance. A ray of sunlight darted in, and there were 2 angels sitting in the very place where the body of Jesus had been. They smiled at her. Woman, why are you crying? They asked. Hardly believing what she saw, she heard herself reply, They have taken the body of my Lord, and I didn't know where they put him. A shadow fell, and Mary turned around. A man was standing there, looking at her with concern. Woman, why are you crying? He asked her. At least this is real, she thought to herself. The day is beginning, and this must be the man who tends the olive garden. Sir, if you are the one who took him away, please tell me where you put him so I can go and get him, she stammered. The man bent closer, smiling gently. Mary, he said. She gasped. Teacher, she whispered in wonder, and she reached out her hands. The man stood back and stood up again. Do not hold on to me, Jesus told her, because I have not yet gone back up to my Father. But go to my brothers and tell them that I am returning to him who is my Father, and their Father, who is my God and their God. So Mary went and told the disciples that she had seen the Lord. Wow. Isn't that an amazing story?
Yes.
Yes, and it's true. What good news. Do you have anything that you're wondering about in the story? So take a minute. Think, what do you wonder about? How would you feel if you'd be Mary in this situation? Or Salome? What would you think? What would you think if you'd seen those angels?
I would be kind of creeped out because I would be like, you were dead. How did you come to life?
Yeah, it's amazing. And the angels did say, don't be afraid, right? We have good news. Jesus is alive.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. So, do you remember how we sang that song with James last week about being the light of the world? And remember our memory verse that says, can you read it for me, Edith?
The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it.
Never, ever extinguish the light. So let's go back and let's sing that song again that James taught us last week. I'm so excited to sing it with you. Let's do it.
Hey, let's learn a new one. It's super easy. It's got one line. You sing it twice. It's kind of fun and bouncy. I think you'll like it. Here it goes. Just as long as I'm in this world, I am the light of this world. As long as I'm in this world, I am the light of this world. Ready to try it with me? Here we go. Just as long as I'm in this world, I am the light of this world. As long as I'm in this world, I am the light of this world. Oh, we know it good now. Just as long as I'm in this world, I am the light of this world. As long as I'm in this world, I am the light of this world.
So, just like that song we sang with James just now about being light of the world, Jesus is the light of the world. But in order for us to understand Easter, we have to go back to Jesus dying. Hope died that night. But guess what? What does Easter say? God's power, God's life can go through death and come out the other side victorious. You know what? Just like right now, things are kind of hard. We can't be together to celebrate Easter. We're doing our part so other people can be well. We can stay well. And that draws us together. But you know what really bonds us together? Remembering and celebrating. When we celebrate, we bond. So Easter is a time for celebration. So turn on the lights. Turn on the music. Oh yeah. And we are going to party. Eat some chocolate. Bang the drums. Dance. Yes, eat good things. Party and dance. Get down. It's going to be so good. Oh yeah. Have a good time. Okay, so families, we need you to not be shy at this time. You need to encourage celebration in your house. That makes your heart happy. It makes God happy. And it brings us together. It bonds us together as families. And it's the truth that Jesus is alive. Jesus is risen. So when I say Jesus is risen, I want you guys to repeat it after me. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready at home? Jesus is risen!
Jesus is risen!
Jesus is risen!
Jesus is risen!
Yes, Jesus is alive. It is worth celebrating. Have a great time. Happy Easter. Jesus is risen.
Jesus is risen!
Yes,
Jesus
Jesus
is risen!
Yes.
Jesus is risen!
Awesome. So, you know what we have for you is so much fun. We have a link in this email. Tyler Dunstan, he loves to make, what's the word I'm looking for? Playlists. Thank you. Playlists. Mason's mouthing it to me. Tyler loves to make playlists, and he made a party celebration playlist for us. So check it out, party, have fun, and dance. Happy Easter, because guess what? Jesus is alive, and he is here right now. So let's party.
A celebration lasts throughout the years. So bring your good times and your all that too. We gonna celebrate your party.